Yeah, what you talking about? AI?
Yeah, we talking about AI, man. Just automating. It's really not even just AI, man. When I talk about AI, I'm really talking about being updated. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the best way to do things now? You know what I'm saying? And in every particular business, in every industry, in every niche, there's a better way to do things currently. And I think a lot of people are operating with outdated models of thinking and operations.
Exactly.
And if they were to update, then right, they can be competitive in the marketplace. And more importantly, we call it ATM, automate to monetize. You know what I'm saying? So why not take all your processes, automate them, so now you can spend more time on other things that's gonna make your business scale.
That's what I'm doing right now with a lot of the things that I'm doing is automating everything. Because the thing about automation is that if you're not ahead of the crowd, that's going to be the baseline one day.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that everybody's going to, in 3 to 4 years, everybody's going to be automated. If you're not automating, you'll be left behind. And I always tell people it's the same thing as like typing, right? Is that if you go back to the 70s and 80s, you were ahead if you could type 150 words a minute.
Right.
But by the 90s, 2000s, that was everybody could type 150 words a minute. If you couldn't type, you was behind.
Right.
Using AI is going to be like that.
And that was a valuable skill set. Now nobody give a damn about how much you can type.
Now they don't care. You're supposed to type, right?
But look how like when that skill set first came out, it was extremely valuable. You could type 90 words per hour, and that skill set lasted for a while. Put that on your resume. You could put your degree where you went to school, and people cared about that. But each
Yeah.
year, as we go into new technological shifts, because technology is a disruptive force, it comes to change things, right? So each year, it's phasing out the value of that skill set. So if you're not malleable and you're not creative and you don't know how to stay flexible and how to shift into new things, then it's gonna be tough for you in the future. And you're getting mad at somebody taking your job, right? As if that's your life. No, nobody can take your mind. So it don't matter what the job is, it don't matter what the new skill is. If your mind,
It,
right, is malleable and you know how to continue to learn and be flexible, you're going to be valuable in any economy.
you're right, man. I was on ChatGPT and I've been making these images recently on ChatGPT. And I realized something while I was doing it. I was like, you have to put the right prompts in order to create the right images.
Right.
You got to be creative to create the right prompts, you know.
That's a
So
super.
even a tool like that with generates images, you have to be descriptive in the prompts. You have to know what to say. It's almost like writing a poem, and then the generated artwork comes out. So you still have to have some kind of creativity.
Mhm.
AI is a tool that it augments what you're doing, but your base skills got to still be there, at least for the short term.
Yeah, that's why I say, we ain't living in that day and age of creative imagination. Everything that we ever thought of that was locked in our mind, you got to think about like if you're a billionaire, most people think about like, yo, there's nothing that you can't do, right? You think unlimited, right? It's this idea that, oh, I have all the resources to bring out my wildest imagination. But why is that? Because you think about this billionaire having these resources. Okay, what does those resources buy? You can buy people, right? You can buy talent. You can buy skills. So you would then start what we call blue sky thinking. You're not going to think with no limitation. You're going to think as big as possible, right? So now we're living in that day and age when most people don't realize all of those resources that they thought that that billionaire had, they now have as well, such as AI, right? Such as like editing tools and automated processes. So they're thinking based on their resources. They're not thinking blue sky and unlimited because they haven't updated what their current value of the tools that they have access to. So I look at these new technology shifts. I'm like, people have gotten billion-dollar tools, and the reason they're able to give that out to a mass amount of people because they're making money by value. The difference is that everybody's at different IQ and creative IQ levels, right? Different visions. So the way that everybody's going to use it is going to be different. So one people can take the same exact tool you have access to and make $1 billion, $1 million, $100,000. The next
That's a
person
good
will use
point.
that same exact tool maybe to make $1, maybe to make no money, maybe to make just a picture, right? So you now have access to billions of dollars of worth of technology. The question is, how will you use it? That's where your creative
That's a
mind
good
comes in.
point, man. Like a lot of technologies, but Microsoft Word's been out for years. Some people use it to write books that make millions of dollars. Some people use it to do nothing. Like you're right about that. A lot of these technologies have been, some of these technologies have been out for 20 years. You've been
Mm-hmm.
able to make code, programming code for years. Some people use it to make $1 million companies like Facebook, MySpace, and all these other stuff back in the day. And some people don't use it at all. So
Right.
AI just will be an extension of that type of tool set that you just have to use. But I see it as being very powerful, except for the short term. Whenever there's a society shift like this, there's a great opportunity to make a lot of money and an impact in your life and
Right.
change the world. But you got to act fast, because the shift normally don't last that long because the banks, the rich elite, all those people catch up. And when they catch up, you lose your advantage. That's why it's so important to learn it now, because if you don't, you'll miss the chance.
When I talk about technology, what I'm really doing is giving a human being an upgrade, right? We're giving you the human intelligence upgrade. How do you utilize yourself, right? How do you put yourself together? How do you tap into the unlimited power and potential of the human mind? And I truly believe one of the best ways is to get to know yourself deeper, right? Well, what does that have to do with technology? I use technology to enhance the processes that I'm already doing, right? So for me, it's like I create self-assessment tests for myself, right? Whether it's Myers-Briggs, human design, whether it's astrology chart, right? Or whether it's the Big Five personality test, whether it's SWOT analysis, psychological types. So I'm sitting back and I'm learning, right? So therefore, the more I learn about myself, the more I can be in flow with things, right, that are for me. Because anytime I'm doing things that's outside of my nature and outside of my energy flow, I feel this friction. So as I use technology, it really enhances my own intelligence because technology is only based on the human brain. It's only based upon an extension of the way we operate. So learning this is like direct, it's like talking to your brain or a portion of your brain.
I
You know what I'm saying?
and expanding
Yeah.
it.
If they built it literally off the human brain systems, and this is where the insecurity comes from. Forget the artificial part. Let's talk about the intelligence part, right? People always miss the intelligence part. They create intelligence tools. So now this is the great democratization of intelligence. So people are sit there faced with their own insecurity of their level of intelligence, right? So we can't come up with props because if you ask the average person, hey, can you tell somebody effectively the best way they can get this task done? Could you communicate that with clarity? Being able to clarify is good leadership, right? So now your skill set may not be design, your skill set may not be coding, it can be clarifying communication.
Yeah.
So you now get to replace one skill set that was valuable a couple of years ago with a new skill set that's going to be valuable for the next few years that will allow you to create success. So that's
Yeah.
the mindset shift and the upgrade. We getting people to understand what is the value in current time, how you supposed to operate with self, and how you supposed to operate your business and your brand now to get to that successful level you want to be.
Is that AI, if you think about it, right, is AI makes intelligence more valuable because for a long time in history, we associated memorization with
Mm,
intelligence. Like if somebody could recite a bunch of stuff, we say that dude's smart. He knew a kid could tell you all 50 states in the capital. We say that kid's smart. But that
right,
was just memorization.
right,
Now memorization is becoming obsolete because you could just get on your phone or whatever. True intelligence is the ability to recognize patterns and then be able to act in the moment based on those patterns. Now AI can't replace that because it's happening in real time. So all the other stuff around it, like creative stuff or organization, that can be taken over by AI. But eventually, I think that our real intelligence is actually, and I just thought about that just now. I didn't think about this before. I was hearing you talk. I think our real intelligence is going to be, put on a higher pedestal now because all the other stuff can be taken care of. So I think the truly intelligent people are going to rise even higher.
right. And that's why this is beautiful because it gets people to focus on their true human intelligence. Right. And that's the opportunity that I see in this moment. Like you're going to come out clarifying who you are so you know exactly how to use and what to do. So all these people that got good A's in school, all essentially a lot of you were just turned into AIs.
Yeah,
That was artificial
that's what it
intelligence.
was.
That wasn't true human intelligence. And that's
No,
why I'm like,
it
yo,
never is.
it's a lot of
Make it
people
straight answer
operating.
requires two things. Remember, go ahead. It requires two things: memorization and and doing whatever the system tells you. Those two things get you
Yes.
straight A's in high school,
Yes. And those are the
and they
very
don't
things
work
that's
in the
gonna
real
make you a
world. Yeah,
failure in this time. It's the worst way to be right now, and this is why so many people are having trouble, and this is why a lot of some of the educated class are mad because they've been turned into AI bots.
Yeah, they get mad.
So now they don't know what to do because they lack creative thinking, right? So instead of them being like, oh, I know exactly how to use this tool, no, they got to ask you how to use it because their mind has been trained to memorize processes, right? Instead of figure out ways. So when you're born in poverty, you're born in the hood, you become more innovative and more inventive because you lack the resources. So it forces you to come up with all these ways to think about
Yeah.
things. I'm an independent entrepreneur in everything that we do, right? The fact that we've been able to create a successful show is mind-boggling to people, but I didn't do it, and I operate every single episode. I say, what is the creativity and the marketing process to get this out? I don't rely on previous episodes. I think about how can we do this now. So even in automation, there's a level of creative intelligence and agency that you got to always have. It is not about becoming dependent on the machine. It is about understanding the technology of your mind to always enhance your thoughts and your operation and processes.
Let me ask you a question. I saw you put a post in it. Maybe this is one thing I kind of think I disagree, but it's good to have good
Oh
conversations.
yeah, I love disagreement.
You don't think AI could surpass human intelligence?
So the reason I answered it in this way, first of all, when we say human intelligence is broken down in many different ways, right? There's spatial intelligence, creative intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence,
5
right?
types, right?
And right. So what we think about often intelligence, we think about like one, right? Analyzation of like data, information, facts, right? Pattern finding, right? Memorization. But humans have multiple layers of intelligence that will not be easily like, first of all, AI will have to become a robot that essentially becomes a cyborg, you know what I'm saying, that can do what human beings do in order for it to be more
Yeah.
intelligent because we're not judged based on one degree of it. Then we have spiritual intelligence, which you can never put into a machine. A machine can never learn spiritual intelligence. You look at the Dogon people, how were they able to map the stars before we had telescopes, right? They had an intuitive spiritual intelligence connected to the cosmos. That's not something you can teach a machine. What makes human beings special is not just our logical, neocortex,
I got that.
analytical brain. We're multidimensional. Our curiosity, our creativity, right? Our human ingenuity, our spirit of faith and hope, right? The way we think and move, that particular thing, our soul, you know what I'm saying? Our rhythm, like what makes black people special? Think about our soul and our rhythm and how we move. We create magic from nothingness, right? That will never be conquered by AI. The problem is we look at the Western attributions of intelligence and we're looking at the creators of intelligence and we're looking at what they value.
Right.
And what they value with these analytical processes of the logical mind, and they saying that that will be better than everybody. Elon Musk is not a creative. Elon Musk doesn't have rhythm. He doesn't have soul and spirit. So he doesn't, when they went and they studied psychology and they stole that from Africans, but they did not believe in the spirit because the Africans never just had the study of the mind. They studied the spirit as part of your health. So when Freud was coming up with the psychology, he took the mindology. He studied the mind because they believe they can study the brain, which is physical. So they never even added in that spiritual intelligence. So they're not even talking about becoming better than us. They're talking about becoming better than them. You know what I'm saying? In one operational way. So I choose to answer it in that way because yes, it's going to be better at memorizing and analytics and data and all of this
Yeah.
stuff that this world values. But no, they will not be better at the intuitive,
The,
spiritual, soul, creative intelligence that makes human
the
beings
whole of
special. Yeah.
humanity is. I got that. That makes sense. I do believe after hearing what Keith says about the whole of humanity, no, I would never replace that. But if we narrow it down to just pure intelligence, pure like processing data, ability to recognize patterns, both visual, audio, and in data, I think AI will pass humans. And the reason why is because when you program AI, I've done it for years. You program AI, you don't program it to think, you program it to learn. And it learns, it has access to resources which are faster, and it has more memory, and it can process data a lot faster than we can, both visuals, audio, and real data on in databases. So yeah, it could be way for
Well, let's
just because a
think
human
of it like
programs don't
this.
mean it can't surpass the human's intelligence. It will surpass humans. That type of intelligence, yeah, it can pass it. But
It's
But you're saying
almost saying,
emotional, space, all that other stuff. No, I don't. I agree with you there. But
it's
I'm just
almost
talking
saying,
about
can
this guy that
humans?
said he can't. What did you say?
No, go
You
ahead. I'm
can't.
gonna let you cook.
You can't pass the smartest human. That's a fallacy. Yeah, you could a person can create. I've done it before. That's how I know. I can create a program that's smarter than me, and I've done it 10, 15 years ago. So that's not true. You can't program something that's smarter than you, but not in the whole of humanity. You're right.
It's almost saying, can a human become smarter than God? Right? And
No.
when you think of it, it's the same thing with robots. We are their God. When you are the maker, the creator of something, you are their God, and they're an extension of our processes. We made them in our image. So the question is there's this moment in time where you talk about modern man reaching this point in time of his singularity is when he created AI, right? It's one of the smartest things that man has ever done. So what we're asking is, how intelligent is man to create something that we believe will rival his own intelligence? That
Yeah.
already means that we have surpassed it, because we shouldn't even be judging it by that, whether it's going to be smarter than us, because we created it. So when you are the creator of something, right? How smart are you? If there's somebody that comes and say, "Yo,
Yeah.
we created human beings," they already smarter than us. There's nothing that we can do to surpass them because they made us, right? So it's understanding that sort of concept, and there's intelligence that's beyond logic, right? And I think that that's where we get caught up with AI. We're thinking about AI in such a logical way that we're completely missing out on all the other aspects of, right, reality. Consciousness is not graded by pure analytical intelligence whatsoever, right? That is a completely different reality. You feel me? So as much AI will definitely be more intelligent in its ways of processing or memorizing and pattern finding and fact finding than the average human being. But how smart is the average human being in the first place? So when we judge AI, we don't judge it individually, right? We judge AI as this collective sentient being. But when we judge humanity, we start looking at things individually. Humans are collective. We've been around for
Good point
millions of
too.
years. We are gods on this planet, right? We have domain over the whole planet. We created all the things that's been in our imagination. How powerful is that? Everything from robots to flying cars. We've terraformed the whole entire planet Earth, right? To the point we're trying to go to other planets to terraform them. We've created spaceships. So you have to judge humanity by the collective of its entirety of history to really get to the point of its intelligence, not the locality of somebody else's IQ, because, we're limited by what we can learn in our lifetime.
It's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. You compare the whole of AI, which is actually a collective because it's accessing the internet. If an AI model accesses the internet, it's the collective of all computing up to that point. So basically, it's yeah, I see that point.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta give some respect to humans, man. We kind of so raw that we fear ourselves. We fear our own greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like, human beings, in order to humble themselves, right? We always say, "I give all praise due to Allah." We have to humble ourselves. Otherwise, we're so powerful we can get full of ourselves, and that can corrupt us. So, with AI, it's almost like we being humble, saying it's gonna be better than us. You know what I'm saying? But like, we are the most resilient on the planet. We the most resilient in the universe. Forget just the planet. You know what I'm saying? And we
yeah,
create things, we look at our own limitations and then create extensions of things to defeat our limitations. So maybe we don't want to travel through space because you got to go through years. So we go create a robot to go do for us. So that robot is just an extension of our own intelligence, not a greater intelligence. It's an
I get
extension
that. You
of
look at
our
it that
will.
way. Yeah,
That's all. It's an extension of our will. I want to get something done, and now the robot is looking back at the master, talking about it's better. How I made you, fool.
yeah. I see when you see it like that. I can see your point. I
Yeah,
got it.
but I understand what people try to say, but it's like we only taking in an aspect, and this is why people across the planet Earth will think that they better than others because they are smarter in certain processes, and those processes historically have made some people more rich than others, right? So
I
that's
want to say it again. Somebody else said it. I want to reiterate. I agree with a lot what Keys is saying, but I want to reiterate the point that you can develop something that does something better than you can. That's the whole point of engineering and all engineering all engineering principles. Like even in a factory engineer can't program a robot to fill bottles faster than he can. Of course they can. So guys need to stop saying that because that's not true. But overall, he can't, create something that can replace his humanity. No, but he can create something that can replace him and be faster, more efficient than him in certain narrow certain narrow aspects or jobs. So yeah, that's true. He can do that. So I just want to make sure y'all don't get that wrong, because that's the whole engineering principle, is to engineer something that can do something better and more efficient than you can.
Yeah, that represents your
Yeah,
intelligence, your ability to
it
be
represents it,
like if you're a great master, you're going to create a great student,
because
and but that
you have to
credit is
create
going
the
to go back to that
processes.
master.
Computer just speeds it up.
Yeah, like that's your whole goal of being a great master. I can create someone as good or better than myself. The master gets judged by his students. If you don't produce a good student, you're not a good master. But you can't
And
just look
that's
at the student and then be like the master has nothing to do with it. No.
And I don't know. Somebody just said, somebody said a camera lens can replace a human. Yeah, they have, because cameras can see in all visible and invisible spectrums. So yeah, a camera lens can see past us. Now I don't know where this stuff's coming from. People keep typing stuff like that. There are technologies that can pass us in narrow fields, like vision, or doing a certain job over and over or something else. Now that's true, but overall, no, they can't replace us as a complete human.
I don't think we're supposed to look at these things from a fear perspective. And that's why like I never fear being replaced. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is evolution.
Yeah.
Replacing things that we don't need with better things. The goal is to evolve. So the goal is to look at how can we evolve from the things that we create, because how can humans rate they how can human beings grade their evolution if they're not getting better at things?
And another thing I want to say too, somebody just said AI is going to become demonic. You know why we think that? Because we live in a Western society, and in Western society, every time not greater, but every time there was a new person or group of intelligence that came and encountered another one, they always encountered violence.
Yeah, we
So we
thinking
try
about
to,
colonizers.
yeah,
We
we try
thinking
to like
we thinking it's gonna be a
yeah,
colonizer
that's what they
AI.
think. They think that we've been so conditioned to believe that we think that if AI gets intelligence, they're gonna kill us. Why would it? Why would, just because something is better, faster, or whatever? Why would it kill you? We've been
Right.
conditioned to that because of years and years of colonization.
Man, make sure y'all type in AI, man.
But AI
Um,
can't be demonic. AI is benign. It can't do. It's not evil or good. It just does work.
People are placed. It's like saying if a serial killer raises a child, you're gonna think that that child is gonna be a serial killer
Not
because it.
necessarily.
That's what people would think. If you growing in an environment where you growing up with crazy people, you gonna think that you gonna be crazy. So when I hear people say that, it's really a representation of them. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that is
saying?
what it is. Like
And
what I
what you
would do if
think
I
you're
had
gonna
that power.
influence.
Yeah.
But if you take AI and you say, hey, you know this AI came from Buddhist monks, and they created this technology to advance the world. All of a sudden, the narrative changed on where you think this thing is going to go. Why? Because you are now imposing the nature of what you believe about those monks on the technology that they created. So it says a lot about the nature of the creator and the idea that you think about these people that's creating it, less about the technology. But then what you're taking out of that equation is what you are going to do with it,
Yeah.
right? So this is where we take away our own power when we go with the narrative that somebody else created instead of creating our own narrative. The future
Yeah. Somebody
is
asked
a
about
blank
quantum
statement.
computing. Go ahead.
The future is a blank statement. Nobody
That's a
owns the
good
future. Nothing about the future is for certain,
one.
right?
Nothing's
Besides
for certain.
what the collective believes.
We would have never believed, like if you look at today and we took a snapshot of everything around us, and you went back 15 years ago, people wouldn't even believe we'll be where we are at today.
I look at the people that have the most power are the ones that plan. I call them planetary masters. Most the average person is a sheep, so they're going to be indoctrinated following a program that they need to deprogram from. Those are AI, right? So you have to ask yourself, are human beings good? Forget the technology. All we're asking are human beings good, right? Because most people, if you ask them perspective on something, it's something they memorize, right? We have so many AI processes in our own mind. We think that artificial intelligence is only dealing with this technology that's man-made. But if I teach you something that, especially that's a lie, and how many of us have believed lies and operated off that, and we had to learn from that, deprogram to get the right operation. All of that is artificial intelligence, right? 85% of the world is operating off artificial intelligence. So what they're doing is it's almost a self-hate because they see a machine that is exactly like them. It's non-conscious. It doesn't think for itself, right? And now they have a distaste for that because that was their role in reality. So it's almost like holding up a mirror to the average person and saying, hey, here's a sheep, use it, right? But the only difference is now we're mirroring one process of your development, and now they're fearing replacement instead of constantly evolving and saying, thank you, I didn't even want to do that. That job was not me. I am my nature. So as a human being, your goal is to find pleasure in your ability to produce your gifts, your skills, your talent into the world. So there's no fear of replacement, right? When we talk about enjoying life, you're talking about working. I'm talking about living. It's different. Once you learn how to live, it's because you're operating within your nature and you find enjoyment in your task that you do that's connected to who you are.
Yeah, I agree. Like if AI does start to replace some jobs, we'll find other jobs. I mean, human. I mean, I always tell people. Somebody just put in here that they used to work for NASA. NASA used to have a title of a worker called a computer. We saw it in that movie Hidden.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Black women
Hidden
were the first
Figures. Yeah,
computers.
they were
It was
computers. That
named
was their
after
job.
It was named after black women. The computer were named after black women. They were the human calculators. They were the
Yeah,
computers. They kept all the figures, all of the stats in their mind. If they wanted to know something, they'd bring in one of these computers, which were these women, right? So that they can test their stats on whatever that they was doing in their programming. And that's where the computer comes from. So yes, they replaced those women with
they went
machines
on to
that
do
can do
other
the same thing.
stuff.
But those women, their only value wasn't just calculating this, it
Yeah,
was supposed to be evolved.
they were
So
supposed to
I have
evolve.
how many things that you have to do that sometimes you don't want to do? There's so many processes in my life right now. I don't want to have to do that. The pure pleasure I get is bringing the idea in reality, not all of these small, insignificant processes
You
that's
just
in my
got to
way.
do it.
But I gotta do it. I'd rather be doing art all day. I'd rather be goddamn being in a studio and doing these other enjoyable things, but there's tasks I have to get
Yeah.
done. And I
They
became
go
good at them,
gotta
but
sit
that's
with
not fun.
accountants, buy taxes. You gotta all this
Come on.
stuff.
Come on. I don't want to
And
all
you
that
gotta
stuff.
do
I
it.
want to automate it. We've attached too much of the necessity of the human life condition, right, to being human beings. Meaning that because we live in this society and we do these things, we think that's what it means to be human. That's what it means to live in a society, right, that has dictated these tasks as a necessity. And when technology comes about, it decreases the necessity to do those tasks and allows us to be more effective versus being just efficient. Efficient is all the work we do. Effective is doing the best work. Man, y'all comment AI, man. Y'all want to come tap in, man. Stop playing with me, man.
Yeah, somebody just said, and it's a misunderstanding of AI. Somebody just said that AI can't do anything without inputs. Yeah, it can. I mean, you got to understand AI, what AI is. That's why it's important to get in this webinar and understand these things. AI does think past inputs. That's the whole purpose of it. It's self-learning. So what AI basically does is that I mean most AI, like generative text and stuff is different, but most AI, what it does is that you give it a set of data and you give it a goal. Goes to this set of data, then it figures out the best path to the goal, and it reinvents itself based on the input that's coming in. Now, you may not even put that input in. It may be getting it from cameras, it could be getting it from the internet, it could be getting it from data streams, but it creates a model, and out of that model, it learns through that model, and it makes the process better. When you create an AI and you put it out there, it changes itself depending on how the world changes around it. And that's actual true learning. That's not just inputs putting in it. Is that a program? If I write a program and I write a set of algorithm, the algorithm does the same no matter what. AI can change its own algorithms based on the input that it pulls in itself. That's the difference between AI and just straight programming.
Man, that's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, like somebody commented, it is a tool. And the
It's
better
a
man
tool.
gets,
You're right.
look at artists, right? So if you as an artist, because sometimes we get caught up in the tool, right, versus the art. So we become so-called like peers, and that's only because we grow up in a time where these are the tools that we use, and we connect that to the trade, and we connect that to our passion. So if you're an artist in the 1700s, right? Well, we can take it all the way back. We were artists in 30 AD. You know what I'm saying? You may have used stones to write on the wall, right? Then, you go back and you go forward another 100,000 years, and all of a sudden you discover the ability to create dyes, right? Then you move up further, and then you start creating tools that help you. You now discover how to utilize canvases, and then create, and then have paint out as an artist, you design even differently, right? Then you transform forward to where you was designing, posters where you had to do everything that was stenciled out and perfect, right? Then we transform to graphic design where you have to learn the skill on how to use the technology so that you can now, get it to do something that you want to, which is create this art. Then we transform to mid journey, right? You don't have to be an artist in that particular degree. You still learning just how to use different tools, but it doesn't mean you're not an artist throughout the whole way, regardless of what tool you use to create your art. So when you get caught up in, oh, this is not real art, that's not real art, how not?
It
If the
is
point
real
of it
art.
is to take your idea that's in your head and figure out a tool to bring it out. It
It's
ain't
the
just the
same thing as any
process
other
that makes
tool.
you the art.
If you use Photoshop to make art, is it art? Yeah, it's still art.
But how many? Because there were Photoshop artists that thought that they were irreplaceable. Why? Because they learned a skill set, and maybe their brain was better at learning that skill set than somebody else. But somebody else had the same idea, but I don't know how to go in there and create a 3D sculpture in this new program, and because I don't like the program language, I can't use it. So
Mm.
now, instead of the program language being difficult, they created a user interface and simplified it. So now everybody can be an artist in their way, right? So same thing with coding. Coding, you got to learn Python and all of these different coding languages. But the point of coding is to create a result based on an idea. So I don't have to learn coding because coding becomes the English language. So instead of
Exactly.
learning that language, they changed it and turned it into the English language. Let me tell
And
you
that's
what
what
I
NVIDIA said
done.
that that's their goal.
Now I get it done. So you are able to, it's basically like giving you degrees, you know what I'm saying, to get things done when at first you had all of these barriers, right? So I love what we're living in now because I call it the time of the lazy creators. And I'm going to leave on
Yeah,
this.
I believe in that.
There was a time where creators had all these ideas, but they didn't have the resources, right? You have all these ideas, but you don't want to figure out all these processes in between to get it done. So now we're in a time where if you are an idea person and you got a crazy imagination, you know what I'm saying? You can get it done because now you got all these tools that can automate that. Now a lot of people that have the skills don't have no ideas. They don't know. They literally, when we say they don't have no idea what to do with it, your mind is supposed to be teeming with ideas when you jump into a new tool. And creativity is a muscle. So that's one of the things we're going to be teaching as well. When we talk about AI, we always talk about OI, original intelligence. And
Yeah.
we teach you how to enhance that. Because I look at artificial intelligence plus natural intelligence equals enhanced intelligence. All these things are just to enhance you. Nothing is to control you. Nothing is to become dependent. So as we help you develop your mind, you can get anything done. And that's the pleasure of being a human being. Is being stimulated by the process of getting your ideas out into reality.